Na 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 na. Welcome back, guys. Sorry, that song was playing in the rest area and now it's stuck in my head. All right. Welcome back. I'm gonna do a talking update here if you guys are interested. Today is Friday the 13th. Ooh, September 2024. And I just wanted to happily express to you guys that as of September 5th, 2024, I am no longer in the SAP program. I say that with strings attached, though. So I'm no longer in it because I completed it. All the follow-up tests that went on for 1 year are finished. I peed in front of people, you know. They watched me pee in a little cup. Yes, I'm getting graphic because it was graphic. It was a total invasion of privacy. But I get it, like they think I'm a drug addict and I have addiction issues, so they have to watch me provide a sample for them to prove to them that I'm not using a substance, you know, that you can walk into just about any store and purchase these days. No matter who you are, as long as you've got an ID showing that you're 18 years or older, I'm assuming, maybe it's 21, I don't know. You can purchase this product. Hell, you don't even have to get back into your car before you take the shit. Down it, digest it, and suddenly, boom, you're high. Why am I acting like this? Well, because that's the way it is, you know? And if you're in a particular state, I don't think my state actually has this yet. It's probably coming. If you're in a particular state, you've got marijuana dispensaries available to you, readily available. All you got to do is go to a doctor, tell them that you have some kind of chronic ailment, and they'll issue a medical marijuana card where you can go to the dispensary and you can get, I'm sure they regulate it just like if you were to go to a pain management clinic and ask for pain medication. Yes, they regulate it in that they'll only give you so much over a span of time. I'm sure it works exactly the same way. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I survived the SAP program and I survived this company and the abuse that I can't talk about yet because I'm still working here. But I lived through it and I made it. But did I really make it? Here's my point. Even though the FMCSA is telling me, oh, you're done. You're not in the SAP program anymore. You finished. You finished the requirements that your substance abuse counselor deemed necessary for you to finish. So you're no longer in the program, therefore you're no longer a SAP driver. That's what the FMCSA is telling me. And guys, by the way, they weren't even going to tell me that. I had to make phone calls. I had to question around. Turns out that my final follow-up test was in mid-August. It was like August 15th. That was the last test. And they go by your return to duty test. So if you fail a drug test as a truck driver, you go into the SAP program. Your SAP counselor will evaluate you, and then they're going to determine how much time you need and what steps you need to take in order to be eligible to take a DOT return to duty drug test, which will put you back in service and allow you to apply for a new job or go back to the one that you had if you didn't get fired like I did. And that time period, which would be steps 1 through 5, that time period varies case by case, and that could be an extremely long amount of time. Well, with my particular case, all I needed to do was complete a substance abuse course and take a 10-panel non-DOT drug screen, which I took. Okay, so upon taking that test, as you guys already know, I was put back in service and hired on by this company, and I've been working ever since. Taking the test for the past year, passed all the tests. Gee, what does that say about me? Does that say I have an issue with substance abuse? Does that say I'm a drug addict, or does that say I'm a truck driver that's responsible and knows how to do the job safely? The fact that I've never had one accident on the road says that I am a safe driver. The fact that I was scrutinized and monitored by AI on a level that goes beyond human capability says that, you know, not having any issues with that actually qualifying for a safety bonus at the last company that I worked for, I think that says I'm a pretty damn safe truck driver. Can you guys tell I'm a little bit frustrated right now? Well, here's why I'm frustrated. Yes, I'm happy that I'm done with the program. I don't have to go and have people watch me pee in a cup anymore. I was never worried about failing another drug test. It was never a temptation to go back to the store and buy legal THC. And like I said in the video that I made prior to this one, that just thinking about the fact that I took it makes me physically ill. I'm never taking that crap again, and it's all a setup. It's all rigged. And here's the thing, even though the FMCSA considers me as a legitimate safe truck driver that no longer needs to be monitored or continuously peeing in a cup, the rest of the industry doesn't seem to view it that way. The rest of the industry that has their own secrets and hidden issues and things to hide doesn't seem to think that I'm ready, willing, or capable to hold down a job responsibly as a truck driver. Even though, like I just said, I've never had an on-the-road accident. I had 2 fender benders my first 6 months of truck driving back in 2016. Okay, that's the extent of insurance claimage that I've had in my history of truck driving. That's the only time I've ever had accidents, and they were both in parking lots. Okay, other than that, I've never had anything DOT recordable or anything else. None of that. I have an MVR with 0 points on it. I have one thing on my PSP, and that just happened yesterday. And it has less to do with my responsibility as a driver, and it has more to do with the company that I'm working for not wanting to take care of issues on their equipment. So naturally, as you guys knew I was gonna do, I started applying for jobs as soon as I found out that I was done with the SAP program. And I was like, okay, well, I can maybe take a few steps forward from this point and see if there's any companies out there that are going to be willing to work with me. They'll see that I have just proven myself over the past year after screwing up one time and having one mistake on my record, despite all of the positive things that I do have on my record that shine. You know, is there any company out there better than the one I'm at right now that can provide a better job for me? And so far, guys, it's not going very well. I did actually find a company that has access to local positions, which is what I want. I want to go back local. I want to go home every day. I want my life back. I want to watch my kids grow up. And I'm not able to do that where I'm at right now. And hell, I'm hardly able to even support my kids where I'm at right now. So yes, I want another job. I'm looking for something else. So the guy calls me from this company and he's asking me, you know, how much experience do you have? I have 7 years of experience hauling van, and now I have 1 year of experience hauling flatbed. The next question he asked me is, have you ever failed or refused to submit a DOT drug test? And so I had to say yes. Yes, I have. And I've been in the SAP program. I just completed it. I did 1 year of follow-up testing, passed all of the tests, and now I'm out of it. The FMCSA has cleared my violation. Well, they haven't cleared it, but they closed it. It's still in my clearinghouse. It will be for the next 4 years. But no, I'm not a SAP driver anymore. I completed the program. They're telling me I'm done with it. You know, I did all the mandatory required things. I took all the actions that were necessary. I handled it. It's done. It's over. And there was never any point in between today, the day that I'm talking to you on the phone, and the time that I went back in service. There was never any point where anything got sketchy. There was never any point where I felt tempted to do anything else or take anything else legal that you can buy from a store. That point never came. I never had any issues passing any of these tests. I did get a little bit of stage fright in the beginning when I realized people were actually going to watch me pee in a cup. That took a little bit of time to get used to, but I even got used to that after so long. I handed them that cup like it was a frosty cold beer by the time it was over with, because I was confident and I felt good. Like, hell yeah, here's my clean piss. You want it? It's right here. It's crystal clear. The next thing he says to me is, okay, well, I'm going to call my headquarters and I'm going to see if we're actually hiring SAP drivers right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a SAP driver. I finished the program. It's done. I was like, if you open up my clearinghouse, you'll see that the program, I'm done with the program. I finished it on September 5th. And you could tell the guy was uncomfortable. You could tell that they were absolutely going to say no, I'm not eligible. But he played it off, you know, he played along with me. And he was like, okay. And I was like, that's one thing I wasn't sure about, because, you know, according to the FMCSA, I'm no longer a SAP driver. I finished the program. So I didn't know if you were going to agree with the FMCSA or if you were going to still consider me as a SAP driver. And then that's when he got the message back from his company, and they were like, no, we can't hire you. You're not eligible. And he's like, I even asked, you know, how long it takes, and they sent him a message back saying 5 years. So guys, just have a feeling that, you know, with the pharisaical nature of this industry and all of the companies out there, the nature of them, and the fact that they can kid themselves all day. They can pretend that we live in a perfect world. And they damn sure do that whenever they're trying to offer positions to truck drivers, especially rookie truck drivers, they're going to tell you all the stuff you want to hear, and they're going to act like we live in a perfect world where shit doesn't hit the fan on a continual basis. So of course they're going to look at me, look past the fact that I have all this safe experience with nothing really honestly bad on my record. And guys, technically I didn't break any laws. Even when I did take legal THC, I didn't break any laws. I didn't get a DUI. I broke a rule. I didn't buy anything illegal. I didn't drive under the influence of it. I didn't break any laws. I broke their stupid rule. And yes, I'm calling it stupid because it is stupid. It needs to be updated. When they made that rule, there was no such thing as legal THC like there is now. Now, how hard would it be for them to take that into account and say, okay, we need to update our rules and the way that we do things by changing the way that we drug test truck drivers. We do have better methods. We do have more modern methods to figure out how long it's been since a truck driver has used legal THC. If we really wanted to do that, we could do that. And guys, you have to think about it the same way that you would think about alcohol, okay? Is there a urine analysis test for alcohol? Probably. But do they use it? Hell no. Why? Because it's a legal freaking substance. So what do they use instead? They use a breathalyzer test. And they're gonna use it on you if they catch you behind the wheel and you reek of alcohol. Yeah, they're gonna give you a freaking breathalyzer test. And they better. They better give you a freaking test if you smell like alcohol, or they have some kind of suspicion that you're under the influence of it driving. Hell yeah. Now that right there, that's what I would consider legitimate. And if you drive, especially if you try to drive a truck under the influence of alcohol, you're a dumbass. And you do deserve to be punished. Okay? Well, they need to find a method to do the same thing for legal THC. Whether it's the salival test or whatever it is. Instead of using an outdated test. You see what I'm saying? You have to look at this legal THC the same way that you would look at alcohol. And I don't give a shit that it's not legal on a federal level. I don't give a shit about that. It's legal on a state level because it's being sold. Right now, there are people in stores buying this shit. Right now, as I speak. And they're going out and they're taking it after they buy it. And most of them, they're probably driving around and they're getting away with it scot-free. And the federal government is not doing anything about it. Okay? Even though it's not technically legal on a federal level, the federal government's not doing anything about it. They're not cracking down on it. They're not doing anything. But you know why? Because they're making profit off of it. And that's why they're not going to do anything about this little loophole double standard shit that I'm talking about with testing truck drivers. Because guess what? Yeah, if they did implement some other form to test truck drivers to see if they have legal THC in their system, yeah, it would cost them extra money, just like it costs them extra money to do the breathalyzer test. It's a different type of testing for a substance in somebody's body, a driver's body. But I guess they realize that if they keep things the way that they are right now, they're going to be more profitable off of it. So actually, by having truck drivers fail DOT drug tests, they're making profit off of that. They're profiting off of it. Not only is the FMCSA profiting off of it, you've got all these other like auxiliary companies out there that are profiting off of it. What do you think substance abuse counselors are? It's like I said in my original video, guys. There are businesses out there, and that's really all it is. That's all it is a business that are ran solely off of, and all their profit comes from truck drivers who fail drug tests. They've created an industry off of it, literally. They have. And they realize that the way that they're doing things is more profitable for them than to actually update and change a standard that needs to be changed and needs to be updated. I have no interest in ever taking legal THC again in my entire life. I have no interest in it at all. I took it. It wasn't even that great, guys. It wasn't even that great. But yeah, I'm virtually obsessed with this kind of stuff now because I realize the reality that I'm in now. See, I had motivation before when I first came back and got behind the wheel of a truck last year. I had motivation then. I was thinking, okay, well, my SAP counselor told me that, you know, after the SAP program, because I asked him about this, I was like, how hard is it going to be to get a job after I'm done with this program? And he was like, oh, there's plenty of companies out there that'll give you a job after you finish the program. Well, as of now, that's really yet to be seen by me. I'm not seeing any company at this point that's willing to give me a job. Even some of the companies that have hired SAP drivers in the past. So if the carrier companies out there aren't going to agree and side with the FMCSA when they're saying that I'm no longer a SAP driver, I'm done with the program, that means that they're going to take the other route and they're going to cling to the insurance companies, because that's really who's in control. I think the insurance companies are more in control of things than the FMCSA is. And maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe that's why I won't get a job even after completing the program. It's got to do with insurance, because it's not that there isn't insurance out there to cover drivers that have failed drug tests. It's just that the majority of the industry, the majority of the carriers within the industry aren't willing to pay that extra amount for that particular type of insurance. And so because of the insurance companies, I'm screwed. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop looking. But I know one thing, it's frustrating as hell knowing that I went to all the effort to do all this over the past year, to hold down this incredibly difficult job, to stick with it even when it got extremely hard, extremely difficult, even when I was being subjected to questionable circumstances, to just say, okay, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna handle it the best, safest, most responsible way that I possibly can, to keep myself from getting into any more hot water. And going to those lengths. Like, I can't even find a company at this point. I can't even find another company that'll take me seriously over one failed drug test that happened well over a year ago. They're not even looking at this stuff, guys. They're not even taking anything into consideration. They're not taking into consideration the fact that it only took me 6 weeks to get back into a truck and get rehired after I did fail the damn drug test. They're not looking at that. They're not looking at the fact that I took on a job that I had no formal training to do. I took it on and I taught myself how to do it properly, despite all these other circumstances, despite that my income was cut in half, you know, different things like that, despite, you know, not having any citations over the past year, not having any accidents over the past year, and not having any other additional failed drug tests over the past year. They're not even going to look at any of that stuff. And from that point, take me seriously. They're not going to do it. Because it's easier for them to just refuse an experienced driver. But because overall, guys, this is really what the industry, when I say the industry, I mean the majority, like the mega carriers, this is what they want. Like I was saying before, they don't want to hire experienced drivers. They want to hire new drivers because they can get more work done at a cheaper overhead cost. If they can put all new drivers in all of their equipment, then they're going to spend less on paying their employees than they would if they had experienced drivers. And they've been like that for decades, I'm sure. The industry overall, it's been like that. Like that's been the vast majority of the way that the industry has handled things over the past several decades. Guys, they don't want to hire experienced drivers because it's going to cost them more. They're going to be more profitable holding a workforce with a 100% turnover rate. So they're going to keep hiring new drivers fresh out of school. Those new drivers aren't going to last for more than a year before they quit or have an accident or something like that. And then they're just going to keep hiring new drivers, and the turnover rate's going to stay high. And guys, I guess I missed my chance to really just set up shop permanently to become a truck driver. I guess I missed my chance unless I'm willing to deal with jobs like this one for the next 4 years, which is an option. I could do that. I could do that. I don't want to do that. But it's amazing how, you know, these companies will hire ex-convicts fresh out of prison, but they won't hire somebody that has been in the SAP program and from that point on got through the SAP program and completed it successfully. They'd rather hire a convict out of freaking prison. And I think that if they really gave two shits about people like me that have proven legitimacy in this industry, if they really cared about people like me at all, they would go to a little bit more effort in determining eligibility instead of just completely shutting everything down as soon as they hear that you failed a drug test. They're not going to look at the circumstances. They're not going to look at the substance you were using to determine if it was a legal substance or you bought it off the street or anything else. They're not going to look at the fact that you were taking the stuff when you were off duty. None of that means anything to them at all. They're just going to shut everything down and slam the door in your face and tell you that you're not good enough, even though you've proven over and over again that you are good enough. Guys, I think even though I failed a drug test, with my experience and my track record, I think I'm worth a little bit more than somebody coming fresh out of truck driving school. I think I stand the chance to be just a little bit more profitable for a company as far as production goes than somebody that's coming fresh out of school with no experience. I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying that. When it comes to actually doing the job, I think I have a little bit more of a clue about how to do it than somebody that's brand freaking new, even though I failed a drug test. So I'm coming up to this point where it's looking like, guys, if I really want to be a truck driver and I really want to make money, even though the market is so bad right now. If I actually want to make legitimate money, I'm talking about sustaining income to where I can retire at some point. I can pay my house off. I can put my kids through school, that kind of stuff. It's looking like the only way that's actually going to happen is if I'm willing to purchase my own equipment or get into a lease or something like that. And if I do that, that's just going to mean taking on all this other additional responsibility that I don't want to take on. I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility. I have good credit. I don't really have any money set aside or put away for a down payment on any equipment or anything like that, but I do have really good credit. If it came down to that, if it came down to me trying to get into like a lease to own program or something like that, then I don't think it's out of the question. Not completely out of the question for me to do something like that. I hadn't bargained on doing something like that. I was under the impression that I would have a little bit of a better circumstance once I completed the SAT program. Guys, that's why I pushed myself so hard. Because I was just telling myself the whole time, okay, this sucks. This is really bad, but by the time I'm done with it, it's all gonna be worth it. It's gonna come together, it's gonna work. It's gonna work out for the good of me, for the good of my family doing this. And it's not a bad thing that I've had to go through this. You know, ultimately it's strengthened me as a person. It's helped me realize that I do have determination, I do have willpower, and I do have, you know, the capability of doing something, accomplishing something that's extremely difficult. I mean, if there's anything that I can walk away with at the end of all this and say, this is a positive thing, it's that I've gained character. I've actually gotten stronger at being a truck driver, I think. I've gained additional traits that will ultimately help me. This hasn't all been negative. It's all been difficult, but it hasn't all been negative. So I can kind of take a step back and ask the question, what have I gotten out of the past year? Besides obvious things, like obviously I have experience as a flatbed driver now. I know what to do. I know how to do the job now. I know how to do it right. And I'm continuing to get more efficient at it. But other than that, what else have I gained? A stronger determination, a stronger willpower to fight for my family and being able to support my family. My perspective has changed slightly. I don't look at things exactly the same as I used to anymore. I'm trying to work with and deal with a lot of the weaknesses in my own character, things that led me to make the choice to take legal THC. It had everything to do with this industry. I'm pretty sure that if I wasn't a truck driver and I wasn't under continual, perpetual stress, pressure, and tension for the vast majority of my life, I don't think I ever would have came to the decision to use legal THC. So I blame my choice on the nature of this industry. It had nothing to do with me being a freaking drug addict. It had everything to do with the frustration levels that I had because of the truck driving industry. I blame it on the industry. I don't blame it on any kind of substance abuse. If I really had any issues with substance abuse, I wouldn't have made it through the SAT program. You know what I'm saying? If it really had anything to do with the fact that I have issues with addiction or using illegal substances, then I never would have made it through the SAP program. The way that I'm talking to you guys right now openly about this kind of stuff is the same way that I will talk to a potential employer. If they decide that they actually do want to talk to me, I'm going to talk to them the same exact freaking way, because I don't have anything to hide. And I'm going to be open and honest about it. This whole thing, this whole process has been, like I said in my description of my last video, it's been like this thing where if there's anything positive about the SAP program whatsoever, it might be 10% progress for somebody that actually is a drug addict. Say I actually was a drug addict and I was in this program in order to heal, right? Like, the reason why I'm in this program is because I actually am a drug addict. Let's say hypothetically that was my case, and I actually went through it. I did all the steps. I took all the steps necessary. I did everything I needed to do. I would say that this program is about 10% about healing and progression and overcoming something as big as substance abuse. And the other 90% of it is all about shame. It's all about shaming a person, an individual, a human being. It's all about punishment. It's all about, okay, you are a terrible human being. You're horrible, you're awful. You're a criminal, you're suspect. You deserve to be punished. You don't deserve to have the perks and the positive attributes, if there really are any. They're few and far between, that come from the career of truck driving. You don't deserve any of that. You deserve to be punished. You deserve to be shamed. You deserve to be ridiculed by society because you're horrible, because you decided to drive a truck with illegal substances in your body. And that's really what it's all about. And it's really like that. And it's like, okay, we're gonna make sure that you feel the burn from this fire that we're subjecting you to for the next 5 years. We want you to feel ashamed of yourself for the next 5 years for doing this. That's really what it's all about, guys. Well, here's the problem with that. All of the Pharisees out there that are pushing this ridicule and pushing this condemnation, you guys are a bunch of judgmental hypocrites. Because I guarantee you that the vast majority of the industry has their own issues, their own moral dilemmas that they're dealing with. And they want to pretend to be perfect. Therefore, they want to ridicule the people that actually do get caught, the people that have been exposed. They want to make a big deal and put those people in the spotlight of shame, while all along they've got their own freaking problems, their own mistakes, their own bad choices that they would rather just forget about. So they can do this to people that have been caught, have been exposed, to make themselves feel better. And here's the problem with that. You know, the being that actually created humanity, my God, he doesn't do shame. You know what he does? He does judgment, but he doesn't do judgment to condemn or punish. He does judgment to heal. You know that 10% thing that I was talking about the SAP program, about people that actually do suffer from substance abuse. Guess what? Substance abuse is genetic. It's something that you inherit through your genetics. And just because there are people out there that don't have those genes, that haven't inherited substance abuse, that doesn't mean that you guys are perfect, okay? That's one thing that, guess what? That 20-hour substance abuse course taught me, is that, yeah, there are genes that people inherit at birth that pertain to addiction and substance abuse. And these people didn't do anything to acquire these genes other than just get born, okay? So the very fact that they became truck drivers to begin with, and they were prestigious enough to put forth enough effort to become a truck driver, a professional, despite having these bad genes inherited, what does that tell you about these people? They must be extremely hard workers. That was one thing I learned about having to do the substance abuse program. I learned about this, I read about it. There are specific chromosomes found in the DNA of specific individuals that have a history of substance abuse. And that could be any substance. That could be nicotine. That these people have inherited. And if you're born with something in your genetics, then guess what? It's a little bit out of your control. So the very fact that you would be ambitious enough to even try to become a truck driver to begin with says a lot about your strength, your willpower, and what you're capable of doing. So really, I think these people that have come through the substance abuse program and completed it, these people need to be celebrated with the fact that they've carried all of that along with the heavy burden of being in the trucking industry to begin with. Okay? That's my perspective on it. And I've talked about this before, guys, but when it comes to human nature, I just want to be real. Like, I cannot stand hypocrites, people that wear masks. They try to put on a perfect image for themselves and pretend that they've got all their shit together when they really don't. They really don't. They're really good at pretending, but they're fake. We're all human beings. And it's not like the people that have been in the substance abuse programs are making a big deal about themselves. I'm not doing that right here. I'm not trying to talk to you guys about this so that you can pat me on the back or be proud of me for completing this program. That's not what this is about. This is about me trying to prove a point, but it has nothing to do with the point that I finished the program. I don't need your pat on the back. I don't need your congratulations or anything like that. Okay? If you want to give me that, then well, shucks. Thank you. I'm blushing. I really am. But that's not what this is about, okay? This is just about me trying to prove a point that the word human and the word perfection don't go together. Okay, they don't. Our eternal goal in this life is not to become perfect. That's not the point of life. Okay? We don't have a creator that's looking for perfect people. He knows well all well and good that we are not perfect and we never will measure up to perfection. That's why the gospel exists, okay? That's why we have a gospel. And the point was never to be perfect. The point was that in your own delusions, your own darkness, your own mistakes, your own bad choices, how are you going to realize that you're still loved? How are you going to accept the fact that despite all of your flaws, imperfections, mistakes, that you're still loved by your Creator? Despite how guilty you feel or how much shame you might be under, whether it was shame that was induced by your own imposter, hypocritical image that you project into the world, or if it's shame that was induced by other people's hypocritical images that they project into the world. How are you going to overlook that abuse and come to know the truth that despite all of your imperfections, you are still dearly loved? And yes, you grow and you heal and you don't make the same mistakes. You learn from your mistakes and you don't make them again. You move on. And guess what? All the self-righteous assholes out there that want to ridicule you for your mistakes, that should be enough evidence for you that they're hiding their own shit. They've got their own skeletons in their closet. They've got their own pile of shit that they're trying to cover up and hide, okay? Because the real people out there that are real, that don't put on a mask, those people are the ones that have been through real shit. They've owned up to their own mistakes. They've owned up to their own bad choices. And the people out there that really have overcome huge dilemmas in their lives, they would never look back at somebody else in their own darkness and judge them. Because guess what? They realize they've been in the same place and they know what it's like. So instead of condemning and judging and excommunicating, they're gonna offer a hand and they're gonna show love to those people. That is what our God wants from us. He doesn't want self-righteous hypocrites judging everybody. And I'm talking about God. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. I'm talking about the gospel. And I'm implementing it into the truck driving industry and the way things work in the truck driving industry. Because guess what, guys? God is everywhere, even in truck driving. It's totally discernible. It's totally relatable to the predicament that I'm in. So when it comes to healing, that doesn't come from us, it comes from God. Someone that is in a dilemma, in darkness, the circumstances of their mistake, that is willing to label it and recognize it for what it is and come to themselves and say, okay, what I've been doing is wrong and I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to confess that I've been making bad choices and I've been doing the wrong thing, and I'm not going to try to hide it. I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm not going to try to fix it myself either. I'm just going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to ask for help. If there is a God, if there is a creator, I'm asking for help right now. I need your help. I know I can't fix this myself. See, God can work with that. You know what God can't work with? A bunch of fake, phony hypocrites. A bunch of human-fed egos. That's what God can't work with, okay? God can work with sinners. He can't work with self-righteous people. And so, guys, really, that's all it comes down to. I'm not going to stay frustrated about this, but I am going to say to God and to all of you that I've done what I needed to do. The rest of this, it's out of my control. I'm not going to try to hide anything. I'm not going to pretend like what I did was right. It wasn't right. It was wrong. But I think that the backlash that's come from the choice that I made, I think it's a hell of a lot worse. It's a hell of a lot more wrong than what I did. I think that I'm the lesser of two evils in this circumstance, this situation. That's what I think. The choices that I made, yeah, I think they're much less full of darkness than the response that I've gotten from the industry. That's how I see it. That's what I believe. Because I know that the industry is corrupt. I've already seen it. Plain as freaking day. So here's the last thing I'll say, just to give you something to think about. Maybe you've heard this before in different words. I'm going to put it in these words. That when it comes to the transportation industry, they have a lot of secrets to hide, okay? And what they have done is they have built a facade. You could call it a facade. You could call it, I like to call it an idol. I like to call it a false god that they worship called safety. This is their idol that they have erected for everybody to bow down and worship. It's called safety. They do everything in the name of safety. And they use this idol as a facade to cover up and hide what they're really all about. Because at the end of the day, what they're really all about, despite the fact that they want you to think that they're all about safety, what they're really all about is money, greed. And that's really all it comes down to. They're all about greed. That's why the turnover rate is so high, and that's why, like I said before, most of the mega carriers, they would rather hire a new driver with no experience so that they don't have to pay them as much to do the job. They're more profitable that way. At the same time, they're going to shove safety down your freaking throat and brainwash you, when all along in the background, what they've got going on is a mechanism and a formula, a strategy that they figured out is the most profitable for them. So if they can confuse you and throw you off with all this safety crap, then and distract you with all the safety crap that I'm talking about, then in the background they can be as greedy as they want to be and get away with it. Does that make sense? And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that as a judgment, not knowing or not recognizing my own failures and my own mistakes. I'm never the one that claimed to be perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. But I guess as a truck driver, in order to be successful, you have to at least make them think that you are perfect. But I don't really want to do that because I don't want to be fake. And that's really all I wanted to say about it, guys. SAP program is done. I got through it. I'm looking for another job right now. If I find one, I'll let you know. I do need to get away from this company though, and soon too. Like, I need to get as far away from this company as I can for specific reasons. And now that I have an opportunity to do that, I'm gonna try to. Well, at least try to. Am I gonna find something that I actually want as far as a job? Probably not. But, you know, as bad as some of the circumstances are working with this company, just about anything would be better than what I've got right now. And that's just my honesty, putting it in a crude way. But yeah, thanks for watching, and you guys stay in touch. Leave your comments. If I offended somebody, awesome. Let me know how much I offended you by saying these things. And thanks for watching. Leave a like if you will. Maybe even subscribe if you haven't already. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Later.